The dragon called Myongwol had lived for 3,000 years. She remembered when the first stars in this sector of the galaxy were born. She remembered when the ancient peoples built their first ships and flew into the dark between worlds. She had protected them all. Her scales were once like mirrors made of crystal. They reflected the light of 1,000 suns. When she flew through space, her wings spread wider than any ship. Her fire could burn hotter than the core of a star. But she only used that fire to protect the innocent. She fought the things that came from the dark spaces between galaxies, the terrible creatures that ate light and life. The Void Dwellers, they were called. Every species in the galaxy knew her name. The blue-skinned Tellurians built temples in her honor. The rock people of Kandros sang songs about her deeds. The floating jellyfish beings of Yamara wrote her story in their sacred books. Children across 100 worlds grew up hearing tales of the beautiful dragon who kept them safe. Myongwol never asked for worship. She never demanded payment or tribute. She simply did what she believed was right. When danger came, she was there. When the Void Dwellers attacked peaceful worlds, she drove them back. She lost count of how many battles she fought, how many scars she earned, how many times she nearly died to save people who would never know her sacrifice. Then came the day that changed everything. A terrible infection spread across the planet Rolmak. It was a disease from deep space brought by accident on a merchant ship. The infection turned people violent and mindless. It spread faster than anyone could stop. The Galactic Council met in emergency session. They studied the infection for 3 days. Then they made their decision. Rolmak had to burn. Every living thing on the planet had to die. It was the only way to stop the infection from spreading to other worlds. They called Myongwol to do the job. She was the only one whose fire could burn hot enough to sterilize an entire planet. Myongwol flew to Rolmak. She circled the planet 3 times, looking down at the cities and forests and oceans below. Yes, the infection was terrible. Yes, many had already died. But she saw other things too. She saw parents holding their children. She saw doctors still trying to find a cure. She saw people who were not infected, hiding in sealed bunkers hoping to survive. They were innocent. They had done nothing wrong. The disease was not their fault. Myongwol returned to the Galactic Council. She told them she would not burn Rolmak. She would help them find another way. She would use her power to create a barrier around the planet. They could send scientists. They could research. They could try to save the innocent people still alive. The council was furious. They said she was weak. They said she was a traitor. They said she cared more about a few thousand lives than the safety of the entire galaxy. They voted to condemn her. They declared her an enemy of civilization. Myongwol tried to explain. She tried to make them understand. But they would not listen. In the end, they sent their war fleets to burn Rolmak anyway. They used fusion bombs and plasma weapons. They turned the entire planet into ash and glass. Every person died, even the ones who were not infected. Even the children in the bunkers. The galaxy celebrated. They said the threat was ended. They said the council was wise and strong. But they also said Myongwol was a failure, a coward, a dragon who had lost her courage. At first, Myongwol thought they would forgive her. She thought they would understand her choice given time. She was wrong. When the Void Dwellers attacked the mining colonies of Sector 7, Myongwol came to help as she always had. But the miners threw rocks at her. They shouted insults. They told her to leave. They said they would rather die than accept help from a traitor. When the pleasure ships of the wealthy Vendorians were caught in a solar storm, Myongwol arrived to guide them to safety. The Vendorians fired their weapons at her. They accused her of trying to kill them. They said she could not be trusted. World after world, species after species, they all turned against her. Some threw garbage at her when she flew past. Some shot missiles. Some just looked at her with hate in their eyes. The temples built in her honor were torn down. The songs about her deeds were changed to songs about her shame. The sacred books were rewritten to call her a villain. Myongwol stopped trying to help. She flew to the edges of the galaxy, to the empty places where no one lived. But even there she was not safe. Bounty hunters came looking for her. They wanted to kill her and take her scales as trophies. Young warriors from a dozen species wanted to make their reputation by slaying the coward dragon. She fought when she had to. She fled when she could. And slowly over the years and decades and centuries, she forgot what it felt like to be clean. Space is not empty. Between the stars there is dust. There are clouds of gas. There are the ashes of dead suns. When a dragon flies through space for years without rest, that dust and ash sticks to her scales. It builds up layer after layer. Myongwol also flew too close to dying stars trying to hide from her hunters. The tar from those stars coated her wings. It was thick and black and sticky. It never fully hardened, but it never washed away either. Sometimes, when she landed on asteroids to rest, mining drones would find her. They would spray her with waste products, chemical sludge, radioactive coolant, anything to drive her away. All of it stuck to her scales, mixing with the dust and the tar. Her beautiful crystal scales disappeared under layers of filth. Her wings grew heavy. Flying became harder and harder. She could no longer remember what she looked like when she was clean. Sometimes she caught her reflection in the ice of a comet. She looked like a monster, like something that crawled from a garbage pit. 300 years after Rolmak burned, Myongwol could barely fly anymore. Her wings were so heavy with accumulated filth that each movement was agony. She was tired, so very tired. She had not rested properly in decades. She had not spoken to another living being in over a century. She decided to find one last place to land. Somewhere quiet, somewhere she could rest forever. Maybe death would be a mercy. She found a small planet on the edge of explored space. It was mostly water with a few continents. The air was breathable. The gravity was light, perfect for a dying dragon. She aimed for what looked like farmland near a large body of water. Myongwol's landing was not graceful. She crashed through the atmosphere, too tired to control her descent properly. She hit the ground hard, plowing a furrow through a field of some green crop. She slid for half a mile before finally stopping in a large pond. The water was shallow and warm. She lay there, half submerged, unable to move. This was it, she thought. This was where she would die. Alone. Filthy. Forgotten. By the galaxy she had protected for 3,000 years. She closed her enormous eyes and waited for the end. That was when she heard footsteps in the water, steady, unhurried, coming closer. Myongwol opened one eye. A human stood in the water beside her. He was older, perhaps 50 years by human counting. His skin was tanned dark from working under the sun. He wore simple clothes, muddy from the fields. His face was weathered but kind. He looked at her without fear, without hate, without disgust. He just looked at her. The human walked around her slowly, studying her. Myongwol was enormous, even collapsed as she was. Her head alone was larger than the human's entire body. One of her claws could easily crush him. But he did not run. He did not shout for help. He did not reach for a weapon. After a long moment, the human nodded to himself as if making a decision. He turned and walked back toward a small house at the edge of the fields. Myongwol watched him go. She supposed he was getting weapons now, or calling the authorities. It did not matter. She was too tired to flee, but the human returned carrying only 2 large buckets. He set them down by the edge of the pond. Then he went back to his house and brought more buckets. And more. He made 6 trips until he had a dozen buckets lined up. Myongwol did not understand. What was he doing? The human began filling the buckets from a well near his house. He carried them 2 at a time to a large metal trough. He poured the water into the trough and went back for more. Over and over. His movements were steady and patient. This was a man used to hard work. When the trough was full, the human pulled it close to Myongwol. The water sloshed over the sides. He reached in and pulled out a large brush, the kind used for cleaning animals. He also pulled out what looked like a bar of soap. Then he began to clean her. Myongwol flinched when he touched her. No one had touched her gently in 300 years. The only contact she knew was violence. Weapons and fists and burning hatred. But the human's hands were careful. He dipped the brush in the soapy water and began scrubbing the nearest part of her, which was one of her massive front legs. The filth did not come off easily. Centuries of accumulated grime had hardened into a crust. The human scrubbed patiently, working in small circles. He put his whole body into the effort, pushing hard against the brush. Slowly, very slowly, a small patch of scale began to show through the filth. The human made a satisfied sound. He kept scrubbing. Myongwol lay very still. She did not know what to do. Part of her wanted to ask him why he was doing this, why he was helping her when the entire galaxy had forsaken her, but she had not spoken in so long. Her voice felt like it had turned to dust in her throat, so she stayed silent. And the human kept working. He scrubbed for hours. When the water in the trough turned black with filth, he dumped it out and filled it again from his well. He never complained. He never looked frustrated or disgusted by the horrible muck coming off her scales. He just kept scrubbing, section by section, scale by scale. By the time the two suns in the sky began to set, he had cleaned one of her claws. Just one. She had 18 more claws to go, plus her legs, her body, her wings, her tail, her head. It would take forever. The human stood and stretched his back. He looked at his work and nodded. Then he looked at Myungwol's face. He bowed slightly, a gesture of respect. Then he walked back to his house. Myungwol lay in the pond, confused in something else. Something she had not felt in a very long time. Hope? No, that was too strong a word. Curiosity, perhaps. She wanted to see if the human would come back. He came back the next morning as the first sun rose. He brought fresh water and more soap. He also brought a basket with food inside, rice balls wrapped in leaves. He set one on the ground near Myungwol's head, then sat down and ate one himself. Myungwol sniffed the rice ball. It smelled good. Simple but good. She had not eaten in weeks. She carefully extended her tongue and pulled the rice ball into her mouth. It was delicious. The simple taste of clean food made with care was almost enough to make her weep. The human watched her eat. He smiled slightly. Then he finished his own rice ball, stood up and went back to work scrubbing her scales. They fell into a routine. The human worked in silence. Myungwol rested in silence. The only sounds were the splash of water, the scrape of the brush, and the songs of birds in the nearby trees. On the third day, a small orange cat came to investigate. It sat on a fence post and watched the human work. The cat meowed occasionally, as if offering commentary. The human would pause, look at the cat, and say a few words in his language. Then he would go back to scrubbing. Myungwol discovered the human's name was Daehyun. She heard the cat meow, and Daehyun said, "Yes, Bomi, I know it is a lot of work. But look at her. She needs help." Bomi meowed again. "No, I cannot leave her like this. What kind of person would I be?" The cat seemed satisfied with this answer. She began grooming herself on the fence post. By the end of the first week, Daehyun had cleaned both of Myungwol's front legs and all the claws on them. Patches of her true scales were beginning to show. They were indeed like crystal, catching the light and throwing little rainbows across the water. Daehyun seemed pleased. He worked a little faster, encouraged by the beauty emerging from beneath the filth. On the 8th day, a truck arrived at Daehyun's farm. A woman got out. She was younger, perhaps 30, with her hair pulled back in a practical bun. She carried a large bag. Daehyun greeted her with a bow. They spoke quietly. The woman looked at Myungwol with professional interest, not fear. Daehyun brought her closer. "This is Hyejin," he said to Myungwol, speaking slowly and clearly as if he knew she could understand. "She is a veterinarian. She helps animals. I asked her to look at you if that is all right." Myungwol did not move. She allowed it. Hyejin set down her bag and pulled out strange instruments. She examined Myungwol's scales carefully, especially the ones Daehyun had already cleaned. She made notes on a tablet. Then she very carefully touched one of the scales, testing its texture. "Some of these scales are damaged underneath the filth," Hyejin said to Daehyun. "I can see cracks. Old wounds that healed badly. She has been hurt many times. Can you help?" Daehyun asked. Hyejin nodded. "I will make a medicine. An ointment. After you clean each section, apply it to the damaged scales. It will help them heal properly." She pulled out a jar from her bag and handed it to Daehyun. "I brought some to start with. I will make more and bring it tomorrow." Daehyun thanked her. Hyejin bowed to Myungwol before she left. Actual respect from a stranger. Myungwol felt something crack inside her chest, something that had been frozen for a very long time. That evening, after Daehyun had finished his work for the day and applied Hyejin's medicine to the cleaned scales, a young girl came running from the house. She was perhaps 10 years old, with bright eyes and a cheerful smile. She carried a book under her arm. "Papa!" she called to Daehyun. "Can I read to the dragon?" Daehyun smiled. "If she does not mind, Nari." The girl came and sat on a rock near Myungwol's head. She opened her book and began to read. It was poetry in the human language. Myungwol did not understand all the words, but she understood the rhythm, the beauty of it. The girl's voice was sweet and clear. Nari read 3 poems, then closed her book. "I will read more tomorrow," she promised. "Papa says you have been alone for a long time." "Nobody should be alone." She patted Myungwol's snout gently, fearlessly, then ran back to the house. Ma Youngwol closed her eyes. For the first time in 300 years, she felt something other than despair. These humans did not know who she was. They did not know what she had done or what the galaxy thought of her. They only saw someone who needed help, and they helped. No speeches. No demands. No conditions. Just quiet, steady kindness. Youngwol decided she would not die here. Not yet. She would stay and let them help her. She would see what it felt like to be clean again, to be treated with gentleness, to hear poetry and eat rice balls and listen to a cat give commentary. She would stay and remember what it felt like to be valued, even if only by a farmer, a veterinarian, a child, and a cat. Word spread through the human settlements on the planet. A dragon had crashed near Daehyun's farm, a real dragon from the old stories. People were curious. The first visitors arrived on the 10th day. 3 humans in a small vehicle. They parked at a respectful distance and walked toward the pond. Daehyun met them before they got too close. Ma Youngwol watched the conversation carefully. "We heard about the dragon," one of the visitors said. "We wanted to see if we could help." Daehyun studied them for a moment, then nodded. "She is very dirty, very tired. The work is hard." "We do not mind hard work," the woman in the group said. She was tall and strong-looking. "My name is Youngmin. I was a soldier once. I know how to clean equipment. Scales cannot be much different." The other 2 introduced themselves. Yoonji was a chemist. Minhyo was an artist. They all wanted to help. Daehyun brought them to meet Myungwol. Each of them bowed before approaching. Youngmin brought large containers and professional cleaning solutions. Yoonji examined the black tar on Myungwol's wings and made notes. Minhyo sat at a distance with a sketchbook. "May I draw you?" Minhyo asked Myungwol directly. "I will be respectful. I only want to capture this moment." Myungwol blinked slowly, which Minho took as permission. He began to sketch. Youngmin and Yoonji joined Daehyun in the cleaning work. With 3 people working, they made faster progress. Youngmin focused on the heavy tar deposits. She used special solvents that Yoonji had mixed specifically to dissolve the star tar without harming the scales underneath. "This tar is interesting," Yoonji said as she worked. "It is from a red giant star, I think, very old." "You have traveled far, Dragon." More volunteers came the next day, and the next. Daehyun's small farm became busy with humans coming and going. They brought tools and supplies. They brought food for everyone working. They took turns scrubbing and cleaning and treating the damaged scales with Hyejin's medicine. Nari read poetry every evening. Bomi supervised everything from her fence post. By the end of the 3rd week, Myungwol's front half was clean. Her head, her front legs, her chest and shoulders. The crystal scales gleamed in the sunlight. She looked at her reflection in the pond water and barely recognized herself. She was starting to look like she had 300 years ago. The humans seemed happy with the progress. They talked and laughed while they worked. They treated the cleaning like a community project, something they all shared. Ma Youngwol listened to their conversations. She learned their language bit by bit. She learned that Daehyun had lived alone with his daughter since his wife died 5 years ago. He grew rice and vegetables. He lived simply and quietly. He never spoke about himself much, but the other humans clearly respected him. She learned that Youngmin had lost her legs in a war and used mechanical replacements. She never complained about the hard work of scrubbing. Even though Ma Youngwol could see it caused her pain sometimes, she learned that Yoonji had a child who was sick, and she worked extra jobs to pay for medicine. Yet she still came every day to help clean a dragon she had never met before. She learned that Minho had been homeless once, sleeping in the streets of a big city, until someone gave him a chance and helped him start over. Now he wanted to help others the same way. These humans had their own struggles, their own pain. Yet they chose to spend their time helping her. Byungwol finally found her voice again. It was rough from disuse, but it worked. One evening, after Nari finished reading, Myungwol spoke. "Thank you." Every human in the area stopped what they were doing. They stared at her. "You can talk," Nari said, delighted. "Yes," Myungwol said slowly. "I have not spoken in a very long time, but I wanted to say thank you, all of you. You did not have to help me, yet you do. I do not understand why." Daehyun put down his brush. He walked to where he could look Myungwol in the eye. "You needed help. That is reason enough, but you do not know me. You do not know what I have done, what the galaxy thinks of me." "We know you crashed in my pond," Daehyun said. "We know you were hurt and dirty and alone. We know you have been treated badly. That is all we need to know." Youngmin nodded. "Humans have a saying. Judge people by what they do, not by what others say about them. You have done nothing but rest quietly while we clean you. You have not threatened us. You have not hurt us. You even thanked us. That tells us more than any reputation. Myungwol felt her eyes grow hot. Dragons do not cry often, but when they do, their tears are like liquid fire. Small flames dripped from her eyes and sizzled in the pond water. I thought kindness was dead in the galaxy, she whispered. I thought I was the last one who cared about mercy. Kindness is not dead, Yunji said gently. Sometimes it is just hard to find, but it is always there waiting. That night, Myungwol told them her story. She told them about the 3,000 years of protecting the galaxy, about Rolmak and the terrible choice she refused to make, about the centuries of rejection and hatred that followed, about the filth and the exhaustion and the loneliness. The humans listened without interrupting. When she finished, they were quiet for a long moment. Then Nari stood up and hugged Myungwol's snout. You did the right thing, the child said fiercely. Those people on Rolmak were not bad. The sickness was bad. You were right to try to save them. The galaxy did not think so, Myungwol said. Then the galaxy was wrong, Youngman said. We humans know what it is like to be wrong. We have made many terrible mistakes in our history. We have hurt innocent people. We have chosen fear over mercy. But we learned. We got better. Maybe the rest of the galaxy will learn too. The work continued. More humans came to help. Someone brought large machines that could spray water at high pressure. Someone else brought heat lamps to help dry Myungwol's scales after cleaning. A doctor came to examine her more thoroughly, checking for internal injuries. By the 5th week, Myungwol's wings were clean. They had been the hardest part. The star tar had soaked deep into the delicate wing membranes. Yunji had to develop 3 different solvents before finding one that worked without damaging the membranes. But finally, the wings were clean and gleaming. Myungwol spread them carefully, testing their strength. They were lighter than they had been in centuries. She flapped them once, gently, and the wind they created blew across the farm. The humans cheered. You will be able to fly again soon, Hyojin said, smiling. Myungwol looked at all the humans gathered around her. They had spent weeks helping her. They had used their time, their resources, their strength, all for a stranger. All for someone the rest of the galaxy called a traitor. I do not want to leave, Myungwol said quietly. Not yet. Then stay, Daehyun said simply. You are welcome here as long as you wish. It was on the 6th week that the others arrived. Not humans. The galactic authorities. 3 ships landed near Daehyun's farm. They were sleek vessels armed with weapons. Soldiers poured out along with officials in fancy uniforms. The leader was a tall alien with blue skin and 4 arms. A Tellurian. The same species that had once built temples in Myungwol's honor. The Tellurian official strode forward, flanked by guards. We are here for the dragon, he announced. She is a dangerous criminal. You humans must surrender her immediately. The humans working on Myungwol stopped. They looked at each other. Then slowly they formed a line between the soldiers and Myungwol. Daehyun stood at the front. No, he said calmly. She is not dangerous. She is hurt and we are helping her heal. She will not be surrendered. The Tellurian's face darkened. You do not understand. This creature is a traitor to the galaxy. She abandoned her duty. She let innocent people die. That is a lie, Youngman said, stepping forward. She told us what happened. She refused to murder innocent people. That is not abandonment. That is courage. You are primitives, the Tellurian spat. You have been in space for less than 200 years. You know nothing of galactic law or justice. We know kindness, Nari said, her young voice clear and strong. We know mercy. Maybe you forgot those things. The Tellurian pulled out a communication device. I am calling for reinforcements. We will take the dragon by force if necessary. We will blockade this planet. You will regret this defiance. Daehyun did not move. Do what you must. We will not abandon someone who needs our help. That is not negotiable. More ships arrived within hours. The sky above Daehyun's farm filled with alien vessels. Soldiers from a dozen species set up camps around the property. They brought weapons and barriers. They surrounded the farm completely, but the humans did not leave. More came instead. Farmers from the neighboring lands arrived with supplies. They brought food and water for everyone. They set up tents and shelters. Teachers came with their students. Factory workers came after their shifts ended. Elderly people came in wheelchairs. Even children came, holding signs that said, "Protect the dragon and kindness is not a crime." The standoff began. The galactic forces demanded surrender. The humans refused. No violence happened, but the tension grew thick. Alien soldiers with weapons faced unarmed human civilians across a line marked by farming equipment and garden fences. Myungwol watched from the pond. She could leave, she knew. She could fly away and spare these humans the consequences of protecting her. She told Daehyun this. "If you want to leave, you can," Daehyun said. "We will not stop you. But we will not force you to go either. The choice is yours." Myungwol looked at the humans standing between her and the soldiers. Men and women who had spent weeks cleaning her. Children who read her poetry. A cat who supervised the work from a fence post. People who had shown her more kindness in 6 weeks than the entire galaxy had shown her in 300 years. "I will stay," she said, "until this is resolved." News of the standoff spread across human space. Other human worlds heard what was happening. They were angry that aliens had come to their planet with weapons, demanding they hand over someone they were helping. On the second day, a human ship arrived. It was sleek and official, bearing the symbols of Earth's government. A woman stepped out, dressed in formal diplomatic clothing. She walked straight to the alien command post. "I am Ambassador Soo-hyun," she announced. "I speak for humanity in galactic matters. Explain this military presence on our world." The Tellurian official, whose name was Kelmore, crossed his forearms. "We are here to retrieve a dangerous criminal. Your people are harboring her." "The dragon has committed no crime on our world," Soo-hyun said coldly. "She crashed, injured and exhausted. Our people helped her, as is our way. You have no authority to take her from us. She is a galactic criminal. She abandoned her duty during the Rolmak crisis." "I have reviewed the records of Rolmak," Soo-hyun said. "I see a dragon who refused to commit genocide. I see a council that chose convenience over morality. I see no crime, only conscience." Kelmore's skin flushed darker blue with anger. "You humans are too new to understand these matters. The galaxy has laws, protocols, sometimes hard choices must be made." "We understand hard choices very well," Soo-hyun replied. "We nearly destroyed ourselves with hard choices. We learned that the hardest choice is often the wrong one. We learned that mercy is not weakness, that compassion is not stupidity. Perhaps the galaxy could learn this too. Philosophical debates do not change the law. We will take the dragon. If you resist, we will impose sanctions on your worlds. We will cut off your trade. We will isolate you from galactic society." Soo-hyun smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "Then do it. Humanity survived alone for millions of years. We can survive alone again. But we will not compromise our values to please you. The dragon stays until she chooses to leave." She turned and walked back to join the humans gathered around the farm. The aliens tried other approaches. They offered money to the humans, asking them to leave. No one took it. They offered technology and trade deals. No one cared. They tried to intimidate people by flying ships low overhead. The humans just waved at them. On the third day, Kelmore tried to speak to Myungwol directly. He approached the line of humans and they let him pass after Myungwol agreed to speak with him. "Myungwol," Kelmore said. His voice was tired now, less angry. "This is pointless. Come with us. Face justice for your crimes. Stop putting these humans in danger." "What danger?" Myungwol asked. "You threatened them, not me. If there is danger here, you brought it. The galaxy cannot let your defiance stand. You made us look weak. You questioned the Council's authority. That cannot be forgiven. Cannot or will not?" Myungwol asked. "Tell me, Kelmore, do you truly believe I should have burned Rolmak, or do you just believe I should have obeyed?" Kelmore was silent for a long moment. "It does not matter what I believe. The law is the law." "Then your law is broken," Myungwol said quietly, "and I will not apologize for refusing to follow a broken law." Kelmore left without another word. That night something unexpected happened. Several of the alien soldiers came to the human side of the line. They were young, barely adults by their species standards. They asked to speak to Myungwol. A young rock person from Kandros approached first. Their name was unpronounceable in human speech, but they said humans could call them Taiho. "My grandmother told me stories about you," Taiho said quietly. "About how you saved her world from the Void Dwellers. She said you were the bravest being she ever knew. I joined the galactic forces because I wanted to be like you. But now they tell me you are a criminal. I do not understand." Myungwol looked at the young soldier. "What do you believe, Taiho?" "I believe my grandmother. She would not lie. She said you saved everyone when no one else could. She said you never asked for anything in return. Your grandmother was kind to remember, Myungwol said. I did what I thought was right. That is all. Did you really refuse to burn Rolmak? Taiho asked. Yes, there were innocent people there, children, people who were not infected. I could not kill them. But the infection would have spread. Many more could have died. Perhaps, Myungwol said. Or perhaps we could have found another way. We will never know because no one tried. They chose the easy answer. The quick answer. I could not be part of that. Taiho was quiet for a while. Then they saluted Myungwol in the style of their people. My grandmother was right about you. I will not fight against you. They turned and walked back to the alien camp. 3 more soldiers came after Taiho. Then 5 more. Then a dozen. They all wanted to hear Myungwol's side of the story. They all left looking thoughtful. By the morning of the 4th day, Kelmore was furious. You are turning my soldiers against me, he shouted at Myungwol across the line. I am only telling the truth, Myungwol said. If the truth turns them against you, perhaps the problem is not me. Ambassador Soo-hyun arrived with news. The Galactic Council has called an emergency session. They want to discuss the situation here. They are concerned about the optics of a military force threatening civilians who are simply showing kindness to an injured being. They are concerned about looking bad, Kelmore said bitterly. Not about justice. Justice? Youngmin laughed. You do not care about justice. You care about obedience. There is a difference. The emergency session was broadcast across galactic space. Billions of beings watched as the council debated what to do about the dragon, the humans, and the standoff on this backwater planet. The debate went on for hours. Some council members wanted to send more ships, more soldiers. Some wanted to negotiate. Some wanted to simply leave and pretend this never happened. Then Myungwol herself appeared in the council chamber. Not physically, but as a holographic projection. Ambassador Soo-hyun had arranged it. The council chamber fell silent as the dragon's image materialized in the center of the room. I am Myungwol, she said, her voice echoing through the chamber. You know me. Or you knew me once. I protected your worlds for 3,000 years. I asked for nothing. I expected nothing. I simply did what was right. You abandoned your duty, one council member said. I refused to commit genocide, Myungwol corrected. There is a difference. You ordered me to burn a world full of innocent people. I said no. That is not abandonment. That is conscience. The infection had to be stopped. And it was stopped. With bombs and plasma weapons. You did not need me for that. You wanted me to do it so you could pretend your hands were clean. So you could say the dragon did it, not us. I refused to be your excuse. The chamber erupted in argument. Species shouting at each other in a dozen languages. The chaos went on for several minutes before order was restored. What do you want? The council leader finally asked. Nothing, Myungwol said. I want nothing from you. I learned 300 years ago that the galaxy has no mercy to offer. But these humans showed me something different. They showed me that kindness still exists, that compassion still matters. They asked nothing of me. They simply helped because I needed help. That is more than the entire galaxy ever gave me. We made you, one council member shouted. We gave you purpose. We honored you. You used me, Myungwol said quietly. And when I was no longer useful in the way you wanted, you discarded me. These humans saw me at my worst, covered in filth and dying in a pond, and they helped me anyway. They did not care about my reputation. They cared about me. That is the difference. She paused, letting her words settle across the chamber. I am staying with the humans, Myungwol continued, not because they demand it, but because I choose it. If you want to punish someone for that choice, punish me. Leave the humans alone. They have done nothing wrong. We could destroy their world, someone threatened. You could, Myungwol agreed. And then you would prove everything I have said about you. That you choose violence over mercy. Power over compassion. Fear over hope. Is that truly what you want, the galaxy? The council chamber remained silent after Myungwol's words. Billions watched the broadcast across the galaxy. The dragon's holographic image stood proud and clean, her crystal scales gleaming, so different from the filthy, broken creature she had been just weeks ago. Finally, the council leader spoke. We will vote. Should we continue the action against the humans and retrieve the dragon by force, or should we withdraw? The vote took only minutes. When it was done, the leader looked tired. The motion to withdraw passes, barely. We will leave the humans alone. The dragon may stay with them if she chooses. But Myungwol, you are officially exiled from galactic space. You may not enter any recognized territory except human space. Is this acceptable? More than acceptable, Myungwol said. I have no desire to return to a galaxy that values obedience over mercy. The hologram faded. Within hours, the alien ships began leaving. Kelmore was one of the last to go. He stood at the edge of Daehyun's farm one final time, looking at the humans celebrating their victory. You have made a powerful enemy today, he said to Ambassador Soo-hyun. We have made a friend, Soo-hyun replied, gesturing to Myungwol. That is worth more than avoiding an enemy. Kelmore shook his head and left. His ship lifted off, joining the others departing the planet. The humans cheered as the last alien vessel disappeared into the sky. They had won, not through violence or threats, but through simple, stubborn kindness. They had refused to abandon someone who needed help, and they had won. Myungwol watched them celebrate. Daehyun approached her, Nari riding on his shoulders. What will you do now? He asked. You are free to go anywhere. To do anything. Myungwol considered the question. She was clean now, fully healed. Her scales gleamed like they had 3,000 years ago. Her wings were strong. She could fly anywhere in the galaxy if she wanted. I want to stay here, she said. If you will have me. I want to help. The way you helped me, Daehyun smiled. What kind of help can a dragon provide to a rice farmer? Myungwol spread her wings. They cast a shadow over the entire farm. I can protect your crops from storms. I can help clear land for planting. I can fly to distant places and bring back seeds or knowledge. I can teach your people about the stars. I can do many things, if you will let me. Our world is not rich or important, Daehyun said. We are just farmers and workers. Simple people. Simple people showed me more kindness than emperors and councils, Myungwol replied. Simple people are exactly who I want to help. So Myungwol stayed. She made her home in the mountains near Daehyun's farm. She helped the humans in small ways at first. When a storm threatened the harvest, she flew above the fields and used her wings to divert the wind. When a child got lost in the forest, she found them from the air and brought them home safely. When a ship had trouble in orbit, she flew up to guide it to a safe landing. The humans did not worship her. They did not build temples or sing songs of her greatness. They simply treated her as a friend, a neighbor, someone who lived among them and helped when she could. Myungwol found she preferred this. She did not want worship. She wanted connection, community, purpose that came from choice, not duty. Other humans came to visit her. They asked questions about the galaxy, about the stars, about the things she had seen in 3,000 years of life. She taught them willingly. She shared her knowledge freely. A young physicist named Taejin came to learn about stellar mechanics. Myungwol taught him how stars were born and how they died. She explained the currents of gravity that moved through space. She showed him how to read the patterns of cosmic radiation. Taejin took this knowledge and used it to improve human ships. He made them faster and safer. He published papers that changed how humans traveled through space. He always gave credit to Myungwol, his teacher. A botanist named Jiwon came to learn about alien plants. Myungwol had visited thousands of worlds. She knew which plants could grow in harsh conditions, which ones produced the most food, which ones could help terraform barren planets. Jiwon created new crops using this knowledge, rice that could grow in salty soil, vegetables that thrived in low light, fruits that needed almost no water. Hunger decreased on the human worlds. Jiwon always said it was the dragon who made it possible. The humans thrived. Their colonies grew stronger. Their technology improved, but they did it without exploitation or cruelty. They remembered the lesson of kindness. When they encountered other species, they offered help before asking for profit. When they found beings in need, they assisted without demanding payment. Other species in the galaxy noticed. They saw how humans treated each other and how they treated strangers. Some species were jealous. Some were confused. Some were intrigued. A few species began sending representatives to human worlds. They wanted to understand this philosophy of kindness. They wanted to know how humans had succeeded where others struggled. Ambassador Soo-hyun welcomed them all. She explained humanity's history, the wars and mistakes and terrible choices they had made, the lessons they had learned through suffering, the values they had chosen to embrace. We are not perfect, Soo-hyun always told visitors. We make mistakes, we fail. But we try to be better. We try to choose compassion over convenience, mercy over expedience. That is our strength. Some visitors understood. Some did not. But word continued to spread. 5 years after the standoff at Daehyun's farm, something unexpected happened. A ship arrived at the human homeworld carrying representatives from Rolmak. Or rather, representatives from New Rolmak, the colony that survivors from the original planet had built on a nearby world. They asked to meet with Myung-wol. She flew to meet them, wondering what they wanted. Perhaps they blamed her for not saving their world. Perhaps they hated her for her failure. The lead representative was an elderly Rolmakian named Deoksu. He walked slowly, leaning on a cane. When he saw Myung-wol, he bowed deeply. "We came to thank you," Deoksu said. Myung-wol was confused. "Thank me? I did not save your world." "You tried," Deoksu replied. "You were the only one who tried. Everyone else just wanted us dead. The council, the other species, they all agreed we should burn. But you said no. You tried to find another way. You gave us hope even if it was brief." "I failed you," Myung-wol said quietly. "You failed to stop them," Deoksu corrected. "But you did not fail us. Knowing that someone cared, that someone thought we deserved a chance, that meant everything. When we rebuilt on New Rolmak, we built a monument, a statue of you, to remind us that mercy exists, even when the galaxy forgets it." He pulled out a small hologram projector. It showed a beautiful statue in a public square. Myung-wol's form carved in stone, wings spread protectively over the city. "We tell our children about you," Deoksu continued, "about the dragon who valued life over law, who chose conscience over convenience. We teach them that doing what is right is more important than doing what is easy. You gave us that lesson even in failure." Myung-wol felt fire tears forming in her eyes again. "I am sorry I could not save more of you. We are sorry the galaxy treated you so badly for trying. We heard what happened, how you were cast out and hated. We wanted you to know that some of us remember. Some of us are grateful." Other species began reaching out to Myung-wol over the following years, species she had protected long ago. They had been silent during her exile, too afraid of the council to speak up. But seeing the humans stand firm, seeing the tide of opinion shift, they found their courage. They sent messages of thanks. They sent apologies. They asked if she would visit their worlds again. Myung-wol went to a few, not to be worshipped, but to teach, to share what she had learned from the humans. That kindness was not weakness. That mercy was not stupidity. That choosing to help someone who needed it was always the right choice, regardless of what others thought. 10 years after crashing in Daehyun's pond, Myung-wol had become something new. Not a warrior, not a protector of the galaxy, but a teacher, a symbol, a reminder that there was another way to live. Daehyun grew older. His hair turned gray, then white. His daughter Nari grew up and became a teacher herself, sharing the dragon stories with children across human space. Myung-wol visited Daehyun's farm often. They would sit together in the evening, watching the twin suns set. Bomi the cat, now elderly and slow, would curl up on the dragon's warm scales. "Do you regret it?" Daehyun asked one evening. "Refusing to burn Rolmak? All the suffering that followed?" Myung-wol thought about it. 300 years of exile and hatred. 300 years of pain and loneliness. All because she said no to genocide. "I regret the suffering," she said finally. "I regret the isolation. But I do not regret my choice. I could not have lived with myself if I had burned those innocent people. The pain of exile was terrible, but the pain of that guilt would have been worse." "You are strong," Daehyun said. "I was weak," Myung-wol replied. "I crashed in your pond, dying and broken. I had given up, and then? And then you gave me a bath," Myung-wol said softly. "You showed me that kindness still existed, that I was not alone in believing mercy mattered. You saved me, Daehyun, not just my body but my spirit. You reminded me why I made that choice, why it was worth it." Daehyun smiled. "I just cleaned some scales. You did the rest. You did more than that. You stood against the entire galaxy to protect